14th July, happened the storming of the Bastille. The Bastille was a prison where in this prison there were a few political enemies of the king's political enemies. So people stormed the Bastille, and at the same time in the rural areas peasants attacked the palaces, and the French Revolution had started. This National Assembly considered itself the real government of France. And the king saw that he couldn't fight against that, because the army was formed up by people from the third estate. High officials were from the nobility, but soldiers, normal soldiers, regular soldiers were people from the third estate. So he couldn't resist, and he accepted the creation of this National Assembly. And this National Assembly started making legislation, making laws. First measure they took were to eliminate the old regime. So they say the feudalism, feudal rights, they no longer exist. Of course, nor the privileges from the nobility and the church, and the taxes paid to the church are eliminated too. This is the tithe, the 10% of all your production. At the same time, they issued a declaration of the men and citizen rights. This is imitating the United States. That means all men are equal, and they have exactly the same rights. And their principles, the liberté, freedom, and equality, all of them are exactly equal. And to guarantee this, they created a constitution. A constitution the king must obey. That means, since this constitution exists, the absolutism is eliminated. So the monarchy changed. It was transformed into a constitutional monarchy. The king is no longer the only king. It's king, but he must obey the constitution. He cannot produce laws against the constitution. So the assembly created this constitution, and this constitution established, following the United States Constitution, this constitution established the separation of the three powers: legislative, executive, and judicial. You see, legislative is given to the assembly, the executive is given to the king. The king is the head of the government. He's going to be the government, and the judge, the judicial power is given to independent judges. Who is going to form this assembly? According to this constitution, there is a suffrage. That means people, men, male suffrage, men over 25 years old, under 25 they are considered underage, so over 25 years old, and with a certain wealth. Why? Because they think if they have wealth, they are rich, they are cultivated people, because they had teachers, private teachers, so they learned how to read, to write, etc. So these people are able to choose good people too. That's logical. So this is a census suffrage. People who vote are people only in this census, and to be in this census you must be 25 years old or older, and you must have a certain amount of wealth, properties, usually properties. Constitution is issued. This is the first constitution of the French, and then it started the one phase of the French Revolution. First phase was this National Constituent Assembly, how they made the revolution, the beginning of the revolution, and created an assembly. And next phase will be the Legislative Assembly. So this assembly now is writing laws. How are we going to create the new legislation for this new country that we have created? And it's a new country because now the nobility disappeared. The king is just a ruler, but all men are equal. That's very strange. Rest of countries in Europe, they are all regime countries. They are different states, nobility, clergy, and third estate. So this Legislative Assembly is changing the country. The problem is they are part of the assembly. They want to make reforms, but slow reforms, and there is a part of the assembly who want to make a radical reform, actually to eliminate the old regime, and probably eliminate the king too, and create a new society. This will be the Girondins versus Jacobins. We will say Girondins, they are the moderate revolutionaries. They want a revolution, but a moderate revolution. And Jacobins, they are going to be more radical. They are radical revolutionaries. They want to eliminate the enemies of the revolution, and they want to create a new country. Problem: the other countries around France, surrounding France, they saw what happened there and say, oops, perhaps it's going to happen exactly the same in my country. So they threatened France of declaring war, and especially Austria and Prussia, they are German states and absolutist states, they declared war on France, and war started. So this is the map of Europe, and the war, imagine the war against these countries is being difficult. So France started losing battles. So who do you think is fault? Now we have a constitutional monarchy, and this is going to change. Why? Because of that. These powers, these great European powers, are fighting against France, and the French citizens, they lose battles, and they consider it's the king's fault. They think the king is guilty because he wants to be defeated. He wants France to be defeated, because if France is defeated, he is restored as an absolute monarch. So people assaulted the king's palace, and then they sent Louis the 16th to a trial. So there is a national convention, and there is a trial on Louis the 16th to decide if he is innocent or guilty, and he's considered guilty and is punished with a death penalty. So Louis the 16th is sent to the guillotine and he's executed.
Citoyen. Dites-moi ce que je dois faire, monsieur. Il faut enlever votre redingote et votre cravate. Ce n'est pas nécessaire, monsieur.
Je meurs, innocent de tous les crimes dont on m'accuse. Je pardonne à ceux qui sont coupables de ma mort. Et je prie Dieu pour que le sang que vous allez répandre ne retombe jamais sur la France.
And after that, his wife too. So, what happened when the European powers, first European powers, you see, Britain, Russia, Austria, and seven second-level European powers, there's Spain and Portugal, and these countries together, they make a coalition. This is the so-called the first coalition. And they all together they make an alliance to fight against France, and all of them started fighting France, attacking for different parts, and at the same time inside France there is a revolution, an uprising. So Catholic people who rose up against these new rulers. the king is being executed, so the country, the constitutional monarchy, this monarchy disappeared. Now France is a republic. So all the rest of countries, the kingdoms, they are fighting. For example, Spain invaded France because the king of France was the Spanish king's cousin. They are family. Great Britain is, invades Austria, Prussia. Everybody is invading France, and at the same time in France there is uprisings. So the French revolutionaries radicalized. They must fight harder than ever to protect this revolution. This Committee of Public Safety, controlled by two important leaders, Danton and Robespierre, and they started fighting not only their broad enemies, the other countries, but the enemies inside France. They must eliminate all opposition in France. Actually, Robespierre created a dictatorship, and he killed thousands of people. To protect the revolution, they encouraged people to denounce other people, enemies. So sometimes people said, my neighbor is an enemy of the revolution. He wants the king to come back. And then this person was automatically executed. They fought against all the enemies of the revolution. So these are Danton and Robespierre, the leaders of this revolution. This period of time was known as the age of terror. The great fear. So nobody was safe, so everybody was executing everybody, and actually at the end it doesn't matter, men, old men, young men, it doesn't matter. All of them were executed, and the guillotine, you see, it was used in France till the 20th century. This is the last execution, public execution in France. You see, this one, they are real pictures, real photos. It happened, really. And then Girondins were horrified because the Jacobins were in power and they tried to eliminate Girondins. So Girondins actually, they made a coup d'etat, they revolted, and then they seized Robespierre and sent Robespierre to the guillotine. So guillotine was executed in this period of time. And Girondins decided to create a new constitution and to make a directory. That means 5 members, 5 people are going to rule, because if there is only one, like Robespierre, gets too much power and that can be unfair. So they created this directory, 5 people, and for this republic, so this directory sent Robespierre, you see, to the guillotine, and then moderate revolutionaries achieved power. What's the problem with moderate? Moderates faced opposition. Sorry about that. Opposition. This opposition to the moderate politicians were carried on by radicals. The radicals want something more, and not only radicals but royalists, people who wanted the king to have a king. They wanted to have a king in France. They want France as a kingdom. They don't want a republic. And the European powers, the other countries, who want to eliminate this new republic. They want to set the example of the absolute monarch. All the countries are against France, but someone appeared, and this someone is Napoleon. You know this one, Napoleon Bonaparte. It was a very famous general, very young general, who started winning battle after battle, and that was really unexpected because all the countries together, these coalitions of countries fighting against France, and France alone started not only winning battles but invading other countries. And thanks to Napoleon. Napoleon was a military genius. He started expanding France, and then he became popular and more popular. He became so popular that he made a coup d'etat. He resisted this second coalition until he made a coup d'etat and he achieved power. With 2 friends, with the Abbasies and Ducos, they created a consulate. They said, we need more resources for our glorious army and we are going to rule France. Of course, Napoleon was winning all the wars, all the battles. He was winning the war, so he was very popular in France and everybody supported Napoleon. Until Napoleon and these 2 people, they created this consulate. But actually, the important one, the one who had the power, was Napoleon.